Okay, folks, hopefully I am live. Sorry about the delay. I'm going to need a little help from you guys in the chat. I had to reconfigure my entire audio, so it appears on my end that at least the microphone's working. So can you guys tell me if you can hear me okay, or if I'm too loud, or if the mic's distorted? And as soon as I get a confirmation that you guys can hear me, I'll kind of let you know what's going on here. So you get some music going, some background music. Okay. Sounds good, a little loud, okay. Video and audio are good. So when you say a little loud, is it like distorting? Because I can adjust my mic volume. You know what, hold on a second. I'm going to take a picture of my settings on here because I'll explain how this works in a second and why this is all so screwed up. Okay, so I'm going to adjust the volume a little bit. So it looks like I'm not peaking the bars here on, I don't know, on the mixer now. So not distorted, not that bad. Okay, how about now? I just lowered my mic volume. I know this is a great, great way to start. Not distorted, not bad. All right, well, I think we're good. And all right, good to go. Okay, so sorry about that, folks. So the way, I haven't, by the way, live streamed in a couple weeks. I was on vacation last week, and then the week before that, it was a Whiskey 6 night. So, you know, I try not to do the 2 live streams in one night. And so the way that I do my audio so I can use the soundboard, which will not be available tonight, I basically have like a program that's no lower than, okay, good deal. So basically I have a program that's like a digital mixer on the computer. It's just like an app, and basically it's how I run the mics in, and it runs, it's kind of weird. I had to do this whole setup. It took me like 10 hours to figure this out. And so anyway, I finally got it figured out to where you can hear me, you can hear the soundboard, and I can hear the soundboard back, and I can hear a guest back. And all that's done digitally. Well, tonight the app decided to take a dive on it, and so I turned it all on like a half hour ago and tested it. Everything worked, and then I turned it on right before going live, and of course nothing worked. So that's the kind of night we're up against here anyway. So I do have a little bit of a scratchy throat here too. But anyway, welcome back everybody. Thanks for being here. Ryan Frank is in the house. What's happening? Tater Dom, Sugar Kitty, we don't have the audio. Piper John is here. Non-bike riding Dave Vogelsang is in the house. Let's see. Peter White, what's happening? I'm scrolling back all the way up here. So, okay, the co-host name. So this is a shrunken head from Beetlejuice. I went to go see the Beetlejuice movie a few weeks ago, and I had to get the souvenir cup. So that's my water for tonight since I've got flight night going on. I hope Dr. Robert shows up in the chat at some point because I'm drinking a bunch of samples from him. Whiskey Sippers, what's happening? Cheers. So this is going to be a wheel horse flight. Dr. Robert, Patreon subscriber, sent me a full sample of wheel horse stuff, and I've heard like kind of mixed bag things about wheel horse. What I've had, I've thought has been pretty good, but they seem to be like fairly budget friendly. And so I've always been interested in trying a bunch of their stuff, but I haven't purchased any of them. So that's kind of the fun of getting samples like this. It's kind of like a try before you buy sort of thing. Buffalo Bourbon Enthusiast, what's happening? All right, so here's what I've got. I don't have the actual bottles, obviously, because these are samples, but I've got Wheel Horse Straight Bourbon, 101 proof. I'm going to do fairly small samples of these, or pours of these, excuse me. I've got Wheel Horse Toasted Bourbon, or it says Toasted Barrel. I'm assuming it's a bourbon. These are all 101 proof. That seems to be their proof point for their general offerings. Just got here. Dr. Robert is here. Okay, that's awesome. Well, thank you again, Dr. Robert, for the samples. These are awesome. Ever notice shrunken heads are functionally equivalent to Homer Simpson? In a weird way, that kind of does look a little, it's the eyes, you know? So yeah, Wheel Horse, Sugar Kitty's got some info, and Dr. Robert actually has some info here too, so I will put that on there. And it does say on here, I know how you love to research, so Dr. Robert knows this channel all too well. I love it. So, these actually, the Wheel Horse products just showed up in Minnesota probably within like maybe a year ago. And so I think I tried one at a store once, and then Dr. Robert actually sent a bottle, it's right up here, what's left of it, of the cigar blend, or cigar blend from Wheel Horse. And that was good. It's, I remember when we did a review of that one, it had kind of a note to it. Let me pull this down here, because that's, I'll put this in the front just so you know I'm drinking Wheel Horse. Sherry port and Armagnac. So no cognac on this one for the cigar blend. But I remember this one had an odd note to it that I don't usually like, but it actually works in this one, if that makes any sense. It reminded me of a note that I've gotten on Chardonnay finished bourbons, and I don't tend to like Chardonnay finished bourbons. But it was really light on this one, and I actually like this one. So I fired up a pour of this with a cigar maybe like last week, 2 weekends ago or something like that. By the way, my chair is also creaking. I don't know why. That doesn't normally happen. It's just everything in the studio has just gone to hell tonight. So anyway, let's get into some pricing here. So the Wheel Horse bourbon, the basic offerings, the core bourbon is $27, the core rye is $34, and for the toasted, so one of them is a toasted barrel bourbon, and one is a rye finished in rum casks, and those are both $42. So price-wise, these are awesome. Non-bike riding Dave Vogel saying, I have a Wheel Horse cigar blend that is good for $33. Nice. Yeah, this one I don't think was a terribly expensive bottle, so that's nice too, because especially for a triple finish, that's kind of weird that it would be that inexpensive. Before I get into the tasting here real quick, and I'll obviously announce this later, there's going to be a Patreon giveaway tonight. So I'm doing at least 2 giveaways every month, sometimes 3 sample packs. If you want to throw a $5 super chat to get included in the drawing, you can do that. Or if you go sign up for the Patreon, whatever level you sign up for, as low as $3, you get included in every drawing that I do for that month. So if you sign up at like $5, you get 2 entries to every drawing I do that month. So Patreon's really the better deal, to be honest. So if you're interested in getting in on the raffles, like I said, I do them a couple times a month. Sent out a bunch of samples already since I started doing this. I'm trying to build that Patreon up. So if you're interested, I think I've got like 43 bonus videos on there that are not available to the public. Gonna be making more. I've been putting those out every couple weeks. Try to get on that a little more often. And then when we get enough people in Patreon, which at this point we probably do, gonna do some Patreon only live streams, I think, at some point. That stuff will be a little bit easier to do in the winter time. Summer here in Minnesota is a very valuable time. So that's kind of, my wife and I like to kind of go out and make the most of the decent weather, but that's all about to fall off the rails here pretty soon. And then so I'll have a little more time to do some more bonus content. But yeah, anyway, so here's what I'm giving away tonight. I just scored a bottle of this. This is 1792, aged 12 years. I have not even opened this yet. I'm actually going to be reviewing this within the next couple of days. So this one I'm looking forward to getting into. Paid a little over retail for it, but not too much. But I've never seen one on the shelf, so I figured I'd pull the trigger on it. I paid $25 more. So what are you going to do? So I'll give away a sample of this since this is kind of a rare one. And then I just got back from vacation, and so in the kind of the theme of being on vacation, I've got 2 duty-free only offerings here. I've got, bam, this is Jack Daniel's single barrel bottled in bond. And so that one's actually only available in duty-free shops. I had never actually seen one of these in the wild until like last year when I picked up a couple of these. So if you like Jack Daniel's single barrel or you like Jack Daniel's bonded, here's a single barrel bottled in bond only available at duty-free. And then also only available at duty-free, I've got the Wild Turkey Rare Breed, uncut, unfiltered. This stuff is excellent. We did a side-by-side with this and regular Rare Breed and this one, and everyone I've sent a sample to that's reviewed this has said this beats regular Wild Turkey Rare Breed. This is like $50 and it's a liter bottle, but again, you can only get this in duty-free shops if you're traveling internationally. So I got this one in Cancun and I got this one in Cozumel. So yeah, if you want to get in on the drawing for a sample, 2-ounce samples of each of these, again, check out the Patreon. Hop on there and let me know if you sign up, or you can throw a $5 super chat. but you get more entries for the Patreon. Sir Cuts! Oh my God, haven't seen you in a while. I've seen you in person since the last time I saw you on here. Troy from Baker Drinks is in the house. Let's see, greetings, I'm back. New work hours lets me jump in real quick. Well, that's awesome. It's good to have you back, Sir Cuts. And it's good to see Troy from Baker Drinks. Speaking of duty-free whiskeys, Troy, where is the Jack Daniel's Tennessee Traveler review? I'm waiting for it. Unless you guys tried it and you hated it and you just don't want to break my heart, because I think it's like amazing. Yeah, the Wild Turkey Uncut Unfiltered is, yeah, it's amazing. Really, really good. So, let's get into the tasting here. I'm going to get these out of the way for right now. Oh, by the way, I did score a couple of pretty freaking cool things while on vacation that I will bust out a little bit later in the stream. But I want to get into the tasting right now. We're doing a Wheel Horse Flight. So let's get into it with the basic offering here. Let me know in the comments your thoughts on this stuff. Missed the stream, something fierce. Well, it's good to have you back, Sir Cuts. I'm not going to mention where you were working when I saw you, just for your own privacy, but are you still there working different hours? Or Bourbon School, Brian is in the house. Could be Marie Ann. She is the producer, so she might be behind the keyboard tonight. Let's see. I think this has got a really nice nose on it. Now, Brian, I just watched your video today. You put out the, was it kind of lesser known or like whiskeys that get, I can't remember the title, that get less attention. And Green River, not to spoil your video, Brian, was on there. But you said you like that, but you don't like anything else from it. And you're not a fan of Wheel Horse. Let me know in the chat. If you've had any of these other ones. I got the regular bourbon, toasted bourbon, regular rye, rum finished rye. So let's get into it. Cheers, everybody. Thanks for being here. That's pretty good. That's interesting, actually. Just on that first sip, excuse me, a lot of spice like at the front of the palate, like right on the front of your tongue, and then it kind of thins out on the back. I gotta get another sip of this. I may pour thicker pours of these as the night goes on if need be. Gordon Murphy, good evening. What's happening? Brian says, in fairness, I've only had the Wheel Horse Standard Bourbon. That's what I'm drinking right now. And yes, non-bike riding Dave Vogel saying, as everybody knows, Brian is a huge fan of Blue Note. It definitely has a different sort of vibe to it. For the price, what did I say this was? 27 bucks? Oh, hell yeah. For 27 bucks, I'm not mad at that at all. I think it brings something a little unique from a standard, like, you know, you're out there shopping for $27 bourbons, you can get the kind of the standard stuff that we all love to get at that price point for like a regular shelfer. I think this is cool because it's not, you're not spending a bunch of money, but you're also getting something that's a little bit different. That's got a slightly different flavor profile to it. And so I think that's pretty good for what that is. The other thing I've heard, and I think, let's see, Brian may have just touched on this. Buffalo bourbon enthusiasts, I'm pretty much store picks allocated and new interesting stuff. I have enough budget pours. Yeah, I get that. What I like to do, Brian, is to keep, just kind of keep a rotating bottle of something budget. I always like to have something on my shelf that, you know, I like, but I don't care if I kill the bottle. You know, something I like that I can, you know, just have a couple pours on a Saturday night or something like that. So that's kind of what I use, like a little more budget stuff for. But I know that Whiskey Row has a pick of this that I've heard nothing but good things about. So apparently their picks are good. So, all right, let's get into the toasted bourbon. I'm not going to do water between these two. I'm just going to raw dog this until we get to the rye. Since these are both bourbons, I kind of want to see what the step up or down is with the toasted. I'm trying to swirl this around so my Glass doesn't just smell like the dishwasher. I'm going to stick to Redwood Empire Lost Monarch for 30 bucks. You know, Gordon, I had that once a long time ago, and I think that was one that just got hyped up too much for me. It's not that I didn't like it, I just didn't really get it. All right, let's get into the Toasted Barrel. Cheers. That's good too, but I don't know if I'm noticing a huge difference, to be honest. That first pour of this regular bourbon was very light, so I'm going to do a little bit more in there so I can kind of go back and forth. The Redwood cast strength bottles are great. Brian, I totally agree with you. I don't actually own any of those, and I probably should. But that's a brand that I've had a bunch of samples of and liked. But, I mean, you guys in the chat that have channels kind of know how that is sometimes. It's like sometimes you go out shopping. It's like, yeah, I kind of want to buy that bottle, but it's 50 bucks. I've already reviewed it. I want to buy something I can get some content out of. And so I'm kind of a victim to that sometimes. And maybe when I say victim, I mean of my own, you know, just convincing myself to just keep buying stuff to get content out of. So that's why sometimes having that budget pour on the shelf is nice. It's a bottle like I've had a million times. I know I like it. And I can just purchase one of those and sip on it. So anyway, the Toasted Barrel bourbon is good. But I don't know that there's a huge difference. Let me try this again. I would say the Toasted Barrel tastes very similar to the regular bourbon. I think it just has a little extra bite to it. Four Leaf Whiskey, Stacy's here. What's going on? Steven Scone Shelf Sippers. What's happening? Thanks for hopping in. Mods, could you please drop links for all of these wonderful channels? That would be great. Sir Cuts, Redwood Empire, the Redwood 100 Proofers are my faves. Yeah, they've got some really good stuff. I really do need to explore that brand. Is Myron in here? Did I miss a chat from somebody says Bourbon Drop Myron. Did I miss something from Myron? Myron, let me know if you're in the chat and I missed it. Okay, I'm going to get a little sip of water here and then we'll get into the ryes. By the way, I'm trying to mute my mic when I'm coughing. I have a little bit of a scratchy throat, which I always get when I travel. So if I mute my mic and then I start talking like an idiot, forgetting to turn it back on, just hit me up in the chat, or any of you in the chat that have my phone number, send me a text. So anyway, all right, let's get into the rye. So this is the basic rye, and this one comes in at 34 bucks, 101 proof. Anybody had the Wheel Horse rye? Oh, Myron popped in and said oh, there we go. Oh, there he is, Myron. Okay, awesome. Go subscribe to Four Leaf Whiskey, Shelf Sippers, Bourbon Drop, Bourbon School, Baker Drinks. Who did I miss? Whiskey Sippers? Who else is in here? It's hard to keep track if anybody missed. Ben, how is the blend coming along? Oh, that's right. Yeah, I saw your post about that. I need to get going on that. When is that due by? By the way, it's like it's homework. All right, let's get in the 101 proof rye. Cheers. Wow. That is like rye spice and mint gum. That's super interesting. I don't know what the hell Green River is doing, but their whiskeys are really different. Buffalo Bourbon Enthusiast. I was pumped to get the Wheel Horse cigar blend, then my friend and owner said it was a drain pour. I wouldn't consider it a drain pour. I actually did have it with a cigar, and it was good stuff. Bourbon School is asking if I am doing the blend vent. I think, Troy, did I commit to that? I think I might have. Sure, I'll do the blend vent. What do you need, a 10-ounce blend, right? I gotta have another sip of this. This is a really, really interesting rye. Troy, when you first said, how's the blend coming along? I'm like, dude, I haven't gotten there yet. I haven't even tried them all. We're talking about this. Yeah, this is super interesting. I don't know. This is one of those brands that I think really has a unique profile. And I haven't had any of the other Green River stuff just because they don't sell it in Minnesota. I think I did hear a rumor, if I remember correctly, that they are starting to sell it now. I think somebody had commented that that's showing up now on shelves. I haven't seen it, but I haven't been out shopping in a while. Really, Wheel Horse is all I've had from them. I think I might have a sample of some Green River that I haven't gotten to yet. But yeah, it's definitely coming across, because like the cigar blend here that's not in this flight, but I just put this bottle out here for reference. The cigar blend is definitely has a note in it that I was not expecting with the cask finish that this is. Let's see. Blankets all packed and just haven't had a reason to drive into towns. Okay. Sir Cuts, Green River is being distributed around the cities. Okay, sweet. That's awesome. The cities, by the way, for all of you that aren't from Minnesota, the cities is just a general term for the metro area that surrounds the Twin Cities. Little Minneapolis or Minnesota vernacular there. Ooh, this smells different. Maybe a little less mint on this one. Definitely get the rum vibes. Which, by the way, rum is something I think I'm going to start exploring, because Troy and Laura for the Trash Palette Challenge sent like a cast strength rum that was really good. Yeah, this definitely has rum vibes to it. I mean, it could be just power of suggestion, but it really, I don't know how long they finished this in the rum barrels for, but it seems to have been a while. All right, let's get into this last one. Cheers. Let's see. That's fair. You still have plenty of time. Okay. Brian says, don't forget that Green River is responsible for American barrels. I know you mentioned that in your video today, Brian. That's the one that's shaped like a shotgun shell and there's like a snake around. It's got like a yellow label. That was hanging around at my local liquor store when I first got into whiskey. But I think I was far enough into it to know a gimmick when I saw one. And it was like $40 or something like that. So I was like, it's a cool bottle, but let's see. I used to live in Maple Grove and say the cities all the time. I think people think I'm from a village. Yeah, that's just a total Minnesota thing. Like if you live in the outstate of Minnesota and you say I'm going to the cities, that could mean anywhere in the metro area. It smells and tastes like urine. Well, I know what urine smells like, Brian. Do you care to elaborate? Let's see. Two Souls has a bourbon called Give 'em the Weeder. It's from a Minnesota distillery called J. Carver. Thoughts? So J. Carver, I actually have their basic brand, their basic bottle, like an 80 proof or whatever. I've had a couple of pours of like maybe two of their other things. I had one that was like their 7-year bourbon. They finally came out with an age-stated one. I think it was like 90 proof or something like that. It was all right. I've wanted to explore more of their stuff because they've got a wheat whiskey I'm interested in. They've got a couple of cask strength offerings that I'd like to try. They tend to get into that $60, $70 range, I think, when you start getting those specialty bottles, which I understand from a smaller distillery, but it's kind of a lot to take a kind of a gamble on if you don't know if you're going to like it. I have not had the greatest luck with Minnesota whiskeys, to be honest. So, Two Souls Rebarrels Special Barrels. So I didn't know that they were doing whiskey for anybody else. That's really interesting. So yeah, J. Carver, that distillery is in a town called Waconia. It's just like 25 miles away from here. I actually want to go to their distillery sometimes. They have a tasting room and check out some of those ones. Try before I buy. There's also a bar in Victoria called the Winchester and Ryan. I stopped in there one time and they had a whole bunch of J. Carver stuff, so might do that at some point. Let's get into another taste of this. That's good too, I think. You know what? I think for what these are and for the price, definitely I think these are all good. One the 27, 34 and both 42, I don't think they're, swinging for the fences totally on this. But yeah, I think value-wise, yeah, these are good. The ryes are definitely, at least they come across as high rye. I don't know what the mash bill is. I know it said there's good info at wheelhorsewhiskey.com. I was perusing that a little bit before the stream here, but I didn't really have time to get into it. So even when I'm told where I can find the information, my research game is terrible. So, but I would say for the price on these, yeah, I think if you buy one, it's not going to, it's not going to be a drain pour. Brian, you said you were told it was a drain pour. Did you ever try it, or did you ever purchase a bottle, or do you I love it when you get a bottle. I can't remember what you said in your chat here. If you said you purchased a bottle and then heard it was a drain pour, so let me know. And if not, Brian, I can get you a sample of this. You guys can review it. Let's see. When I go visit my family, I get introduced as the one from the cities. Yeah, because you live in the metro area. So that's just how that goes in Minnesota. It's obviously a take on the Twin Cities, but it just really refers to anything in the surrounding suburbs as well. So, okay, there's more people in here now. Let's mention the giveaway here in case anybody wants to participate in it. So what I'm giving away, I did score a 1792, age 12 years. I don't know if this is rare in your neck of the woods, but it's certainly, I've never seen one in Minnesota, but now I saw this one, so I picked it up. I haven't even opened this yet. I'm going to be reviewing this probably tomorrow. Video will probably come out next week. So I'm excited about this because I actually have heard pretty good things about this one. So looking forward to that. So these are all going to be 2-ounce samples, by the way. You know what? I'll throw in a 2-ounce sample of the Wheel Horse as well, the cigar blend. So we'll throw in a 2-ounce sample of the age 12 years 1792, a 2-ounce sample of the Wheel Horse cigar blend. And then I just got back from vacation, so sticking with that theme, I got a couple of duty-free only bottles. This is the Jack Daniel's single barrel bottled in bond. So you can get single barrel in America and you can get bonded in America, but you can't get single barrel bottled in bond unless you're at a duty-free traveling internationally or in another country. 2-ounce sample of that. And then also 2 ounces of the Wild Turkey Rare Breed, uncut, unfiltered. This is a freaking banger. So good. As I said before to the folks that were in here earlier, we reviewed this, compared it to the regular Rare Breed, and this came out on top. Everybody I have sent a sample to of this that's reviewed it and compared it has said this one is absolutely better. So anyway, if you want to throw a $5 super chat in, that'll get you an entry onto the wheel. Or if you join the Patreon at any level, $3, $5, $7, $10, $20, whatever, then you get entered into every single drawing I do every month as long as you're signed up. And you get multiple entries depending on what level you're at. So if you're at $5, you get 2 entries in every drawing for the entire month. So that's the better deal. Again, I'm trying to build up that Patreon. I got a bunch of bonus content over there. Mikey Likey Whiskey is in the house. Well, Mikey Likey Whiskey is a Patreon subscriber, so he's going to be in the drawing tonight. Oh, you know what? Speaking of that, I need to get my wheel of names up because that's coming up here pretty soon. So, the other thing I wanted to talk to you guys about and let you know is, hold on just a second. Okay. Get back to it. Whiskey Juice. Hey, Ben, stood in line for over 3 hours to land a Casanova store pick of Weller Full Proof. Did I overpay at $105? I mean, the retail for that I think is closer to $50, but honestly, I've seen way worse than that, and to get an actual store pick for 105, I may have bid on that. Why would you do that, WT? Gordon Murphy, I'm not. Oh, you're talking about the wild turkey? I was there too. You did not overpay. Okay. Yeah, so I mean, I think 105, again, I think the Weller Full Proof is usually around 50, 60, 70. I don't know. I've never seen it in the wild. But I think for a store pick, something like that, you know, I don't think that's bad. I may have done that myself. So I certainly wouldn't say you egregiously overpaid at all. You pay a little over retail. I paid 25 bucks over retail for this age 12 years. I'm in for one on top of Patreon. Why not? Piper John, thank you very much. That's awesome. Throw in an extra. Throw your name in here one more time. Let me get that done before I forget. PIP. Okay, you are in. Also, Brian set a precedent last time. He actually gifted a couple of entries. So if you want to throw in, you know, $5 so Sugar Kitty can get one. Oh, look at him. I say it and he does it. Look at that. Brian with the $10 super chat, 2 for 4-leaf whiskey. All right. So I'm going to have to bust out the old keyboard here because I want to make sure everybody gets in here. So bear with me. I know sitting here watching me type this crap in is not very entertaining, but in the interest of making sure we do this right, this is how long it takes me to type in 4-leaf whiskey twice. It's that bad. I'm a terrible, terrible typer. So I think Sir Cuts had mentioned up here earlier in the chat that I wanted to see. I was able to get my hands on a 1792-12 and a Sweet Wheat. Sir Cuts, so was I, on the shelf in Minnesota. Never seen either one of them. The Sweet Wheat was at retail. This one was 25 bucks above retail. It's kind of one of those things where I was thinking about it. I was like, you know, if I saw it for retail online, would I pay $20 shipping? Probably. And then also, if you watch Bourbon Drop, Myron, he always talks about like he's willing to go 30 bucks over retail. So when I was looking at this and debating it, I had a little Myron pop up on my shoulder, and he's like, "Get you the bottle." Look at that, Gordon Murphy, $5. All right, thank you very, very much. You guys are throwing some love to the bourbon note tonight. I love it. And that helps because I did spend some money on some whiskey the other day that I'm going to share with you in just a second here. I just want to make sure that I'm caught up on all the... Okay, so we are good here. Okay, so here's what I want to show you guys. Oh, by the way, let's get into the blend here real quick too. That's what I'll sip on for the rest of this. If anyone just joined, I'm not blending these whiskeys. These are the ones I'm giving away tonight. This is Wheel Horse Bourbon, Toasted Bourbon, Rye, and Rum-Finished Rye. There is an amount over that we'll pay one way or the other. Russell's 15 is amazing. Was somebody just talking about Russell's 15? That Russell's 15 might be the best bourbon I've had. Non-bike riding Dave Vogelsang hooked me up with a sample of that. Oh, nice. Non-bike riding Dave Vogelsang, I may need to send you a list. You sound like you find a lot of cool bottles that I'm looking for. So, all right, let's sample this. Then I'm going to show you this killer stuff that I got. I don't know if the blend works. The blend's a little sour. That's kind of weird. Okay, so I was traveling last week on vacation. I stopped into this little tiny, super old, like this, it's a standalone liquor store. I did film it, and so I'll include it in a bourbon hunting video. Hopefully I'll get that out this week. But a really, really cool, like old place. These people have owned it since like the 60s. And so I did some bourbon hunting in there and did some filming. And I noticed that they had these, well, I'll just bring them out here. So we got Bam. This is a decanter. And Bam. another decanter. So here's what's cool about these in particular. By the way, so these are like Kachina masks. I don't know, Brian, maybe you can pop in with some knowledge here. You seem to know what these are. But I think they're from like the Hopi Native American nation. I know this one here is called a mudhead, and that was like a shaman or a dancer or something like that. You can look it up. There's information not just on the decanter, but the actual what it's from. So they did, and this is like an antelope or something like that. I don't know. I'm gonna do a video about these, and then I'll get some more information on them. But I figured I'd share them in the live stream because these are so freaking cool. And here's what's cool about it. I mean, I've got a ton of decanters. You can get decanters anywhere. These are unopened. Never been opened. This one is from 1978, and this one's from 1976. And they are still fully sealed, tax stamp intact. I paid $75 for each of them. So in these is untouched, never drank whiskey from the 70s. Mudhead looks like the guy from the Goonies. That's awesome. So, super excited to get into these because, and the reason I bought them is because, like I said, I've got, let's see, yes, they are masks that represent spirits of the Southwest Indians. Okay, sweet. Makes sense. I was in Arizona. It's like right on the Arizona-Utah border. This store was so freaking cool. I can't wait to get the small amount of filming. There were people in there and they were talking and stuff, so I got a little bit of filming done in there, enough to see what they had and enough to kind of show what the store was like. Brian, that was that one in Fredonia. Anyway, so yeah, I saw this and I was looking at the decanters and I was like, well, why are the ones, you know, some of them are 25 and some of them are 75? And they were just like, well, the ones that are 75 are unopened. And I was like, what? And then so I asked if I could see them, and I looked on the bottom, and they're both dated. You know, it's dated in like an etched, not etched, but part of like embossed in the glass. And I saw the dates. I knew they were from the 70s, and so I was like, well, if it's unopened whiskey from the 70s, how often do you get to buy a bottle of unopened whiskey from then? So yeah, this is pretty killer. I'm super excited. I was in a panic attack the whole flight home because I had these in my suitcase and I was just waiting for them to be destroyed when I make sure this isn't anybody from the chat texting me. I was waiting for these to be in pieces when I opened up my bag, but they made it home safely. So what's the juice inside? Sorry, I didn't say. Yeah, so these are Ezra Brooks. So aged 101 months. So these are 8-year Ezra Brooks. This one is from 1978, and it's 80 proof, so that's a low proofer one. And this is 101 months, I believe, as well. This is a 90 proofer, and this one's from 1976. And so you can actually kind of feel that there has been, I guess, I don't know how high they fill these, if they're, you know, 750 mil all the way up to the neck, but you can hear that there is some space in there, but there's no leakage. Before I bought them, I kind of turned them upside down and spun them around, but I have read that sometimes decanters can either be really good for storing whiskey or really bad. I've also read that they can have lead in them. Oh, Gordon Murphy, I hope they are low lead content. I did do some research on the whole lead thing, and I've heard that most of these should be fine. So at some point, I mean, I guess I'm going to crack them open. I mean, why not, right? I think the whiskey sat in there long enough. So that's kind of my plan. So at some point, I'll probably do a video where I bust into these and see what whiskey from the 1970s tastes like. Again, like I said, when I found out these were unopened and had never been opened and the tax seal was still intact, I was like, okay, I'm gonna have to pick up a couple of these. And then I was thinking like, oh, I'm gonna be able to get them home, and then my wife is like, you know, if you don't buy them, you're gonna get home and you're gonna regret not buying them. And I was like, yeah, you're probably right. So she talked me into it. My wife talked me into buying whiskey. Look at that. So anyway, at some point, there's probably gonna be a video on these and samples of these being sent out to Patreon subscribers. So I'm going to get these out of the way. So anyway, that was pretty awesome. So part of my vacation, I went to Vegas for a couple days, and then we went up and did some national parks up in Utah. I did some more filming at some stores in Vegas. The wildest thing I saw was a home wrecker of Wild Turkey 101 for like $138. And that was at like a Walgreens. And Walgreens on the Strip even usually has kind of fairly normal-ish prices considering it's on the Strip. But yeah, so they had other stuff that was priced perfectly normal, and then other stuff that was like just ridiculous. Like they had Blanton's for $130 or $150 or whatever it was, which I sure as hell wouldn't pay for Blanton's, but considering it's on the Las Vegas Strip, that's not as ridiculous as I would have expected it to be. But yeah, the Wild Turkey for $138, I don't know what was going on there. Maybe that's just what they charge for a home wrecker of anything. Home wrecker is a $175. That's in case you guys don't have the same slang as I do. All right, I'm gonna get into this blend just a little bit more before we get out of here. Yeah, that blend doesn't work. That's interesting because I kind of liked all of those individually, but yeah, that blend is a little, I don't know, it's kind of bitter and sour. That's so strange. That blend doesn't taste like any of the individual whiskeys. If you're just joining, I'm not blending these. I'm blending a bunch of Wheel Horse. All right, one more sip. So, excuse me. Tomorrow, or if you're on Patreon, the video is already posted. I got a sample from Steve Joes of the Old Forester Single Barrel Strength Rye. So that was the first time I had ever tried that. Spoiler alert, it's really good. But that video is coming out tomorrow, so check that out. Going to be reviewing the Sweet Wheat and then a couple other samples that were sent. I got some more from Non-Bike Riding Dave Vogel saying, I'm probably going to save some of these Wheel Horses to do individual reviews of them. So thank you again, Dr. Robert. And then Steve Joe sent a couple other things, so those will make an appearance as well. So I got a bunch of stuff coming up to review. So I'm excited about that. Should be live again next week. So it's been a couple week hiatus with being on vacation last week and the week before being on with the Whiskey 6. Speaking of which, Brian, what's the date of the Whiskey 6 this month again? Is it the 16th? I can't remember if I've got this straight or not. I think it's the 16th. If you haven't checked it out yet, go check out the Whiskey 6 on YouTube. That's my channel. It's Bourbon School, Bourbon Drop, Bad Axe Bourbon, Whiskey Wars, Whiskey Wars / Mash and Metal. So it's a lot of fun. Hang on a second, let me, I'm trying to catch up on the chat and talk at the same time, which I probably shouldn't do. Let me see, 2 years later. Should have warned you about the blends. Have you blended these? Oh, Myron, I did you wrong in tomorrow's video. God damn it. I could have swore you said you didn't like that, and I mentioned that in the video. Okay, so, well, don't take my word for Myron's opinion on... Oh, I could have swore that you said you didn't like it. I know you don't like it as much as the... is it the Jack Daniel's Barrel Proof Rye? Maybe that's where I was going, but I did casually mention a couple times in the video. And it's like, I said, I have heard some negative things about this from some people being Myron at Bourbon Drop. So, sorry, I steered everybody wrong on your opinion. So anyway, do I have everybody? Yeah, okay. So Bourbon Drop, Bourbon School, The Bourbon Note, Bad Axe Bourbon, and Mash and Metal / Whiskey Wars. And then our special guest is going to be Whiskey Wisdom, so that'll be a lot of fun. So yeah, go check that out. It's at the Whiskey 6 on YouTube. If you just search the Whiskey 6 on YouTube, a bunch of other stuff will come up. Where it's not a big enough channel yet that it shows up right away. But if you search just literally at the Whiskey and the number 6, it'll pop up. And subscribe to that. We do a live stream once a month in case you haven't seen any of those, and it's a ton of fun. Talk a bunch about whiskey, and then we get into some subjects that are not whiskey related, but it's always a really good time. So let me see if I have a I lost my freaking overlay with that. I don't know what happened. Okay. Anyway, well, let's get into the drawing here. Got just a couple more minutes if anybody wants to join the Patreon or throw in a super chat for a 2-ounce sample of each of these. Oh, by the way, speaking of sending out samples, Dr. Robert sent these samples in these cool sample boxes from SLB Drinks. Do you want me to send those back to you, Dr. Robert? Because those are pretty cool. I mean, they might come in handy if you need them. If I may, Benjamin Bourbon School is only 29 away from 2. Oh, yes, that's right. I meant to mention that, Brian. Thank you for bringing that up. I saw your post, and I literally meant to bring that up tonight. So let's put that on the screen. Everybody who is in the chat, if you're not subscribed to Bourbon School, Brian, you're a mod. Please feel free to throw a link. Throw a link to all these great channels. But they're 29 subs away from 2K. We've got 20 people in here. I know 19 of you are already subscribed probably. But on the off chance that you're not, please go check them out. Brian and Lauren and Marie Ann, they've got a great channel. No, pass them forward to anyone. Okay, cool. Well, thank you. I meant it's not as good as Jack Daniels. Okay, Michter's single barrel strength rye is amazing. Okay. So I had wrong information. I may have said in there that you just didn't like it as much as something else, but I'm pretty sure I said you didn't like it. So you can hit the comments up, Myron, and set the record straight. I will make a public apology. So yeah, let's get them to 2K, folks. If you got a social media, maybe post that link on there too. I did plan on doing that tonight. So let's get Bourbon School to 2K by the weekend for sure. All right, I think we can all come together and make this happen. So that would be awesome. And also subscribe to Bourbon Drop, Baker Drinks. Let's get them on there. Shelf Sippers, 4-Leaf Whiskey. Who else is in here? I have to scroll through now. Whiskey Sippers. Feel free to, if you have a channel, by the way, never hesitate to promote it in any of my live streams because we like promoting other channels here at the Bourbon Note. So anyway, all right, let's get into the drawing here, folks. I'm gonna present my screen. It's so funny, like every time I do this, I forget how to do it. Share. Okay. Got it on here. I trust that you guys can see that. All right, so I have to go actually to the open tab. I'm gonna shuffle these names a little bit, a few times. The last 2 winners are not included, so you only win once per month. But if you win at like the end of the month, you know, I usually get like a 4-week period, just to kind of keep it fair so everybody gets a chance. All right, let's do the drawing. I would hit you guys with a killer drum roll right now, but I don't have my soundboard. Let's do it. Long Road Home. All right, that's awesome. Shane has got some samples coming his way. So I'll get a hold of him tomorrow. No, Shane Burns, you'll have an awesome channel. All right, well, I'll be getting a hold of Shane, and Shane, if you end up seeing this, you've got samples of each one of these coming your way. 2-ounce samples. All right. Winner, winner, chicken dinner. Is that what it says? No, I lost it. Nice. Okay. All right. Do we have anything else to cover here tonight? Thank you guys very, very much. All of you that threw in super chats. Really, really, really appreciate it. I hope you didn't send them from an Apple device. Mark, Northwest Bourbon is in the house. Don't forget to hit the like button. Don't forget to subscribe to Northwest Bourbon. Good to see you in here. So I did learn something, by the way, with super chats. If you send a super chat from an Apple device, Apple takes 30% of it. They charge 30% of whatever you send, which is just another reason why I would never, ever own an Apple product. So yeah, Super Chats are awesome, but if you want to hop on the Patreon, and again, you get all the entries for every drawing I do all month long. So as long as you're subscribed, so I mean, if you throw in a Super Chat, you get an entry here. That's awesome. If you subscribe for 1 month, you get 2 entries into at least 2 drawings. So, you know, 4 for the price of 1. And you get bonus content. Like I said, I think I've got like 40 some Patreon-only videos up there, so if you want to check those out. But yeah, I noticed that I was looking through and I was reading about how the Super Chats work. So when like a Super Chat will come in, YouTube takes 30%, and then if it comes from an Apple device, Apple takes 30% of what's left of that. Freaking Apple products. I don't know why people use them, but that's a subject for maybe for a Whiskey 6. Android or Apple? Which side do you fall on? All right, folks. Well, hey, thank you guys all very, very much for hopping in here. I really appreciate it. Let's remove this from the stage. We don't need that there anymore. So yeah, again, please subscribe to all the great channels in here. Go check them all out. They're all, you know, awesome entertainment. And let's get Bourbon School over that 2,000 mark by the weekend for sure. And if you want to check out the Patreon, do that. There's bonus content and samples. These coming out next week. It'll be more samples. So cheers, everybody. Whiskey Sippers, OG Brick, Northwest Bourbon, everybody in the chat. Thank you guys very, very, very much for hopping on here. It's nice to get back to doing a live stream after being away for a couple weeks. But I will be back next week. Maybe I'll try to get a guest for next week. So I'm going to just sit here and yap on my own. It's always a little more fun to have someone to bounce ideas off of and keep the conversation going. But I appreciate you guys hanging out with me this whole time. So cheers, everybody. We will see you on the next